So, outside of being musicians and podcasters and, band members, I also own an agency, which, basically means I built a website and I have a roster. And, when people approach us for groups, I have some to choose from. And every now and then I get an inquiry either via social media or our website form or that kind of thing for people who are like, we would like to be considered to be added to your roster. And I think the pattern that I have seen is that I never would have considered them before,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't consider them after either.
Harsh but fair.
It typically, you need to have, you have to understand that like cold calling and doing that kind of thing is just going to be rough. And I know that from my own experience, pitching members only to agencies for that kind of work is, it is an exercise in rejection, futility, indifference. It is all of those things. Sometimes it's all of them all at once.
But surely there's a way to maximize your odds, right? Now, but before we even get there, I think,
yeah.
Let's back up and talk about agency as a concept, right?
Yes.
So, if you're an agency, and you are one because you claim to be one, but that's how business works.
Yep.
What is your market? What services do you provide? A band is coming to you to get what from you and to provide what to you? What are the relationships of an agency?
So I think that is the crux of the question, is what do we provide and what do you provide?
Okay.
So I think an agency provides a certain market of clients with entertainment options.
Okay.
So in our case, we decided that we would build this boutique agency, and that's what we kind of bill ourselves as. We are a boutique agency specializing in private entertainment with music, live music for private events, basically.
So booking, you're fundamentally, you're a booking agency. You're not a marketing agency. You're not
Right. We're not a management firm.
You're not a recording label. You're not a studio. You're a booking agency.
No, we are a booking agency for private events in the Metro Atlanta - Southeast region.
Okay, got it.
So, and we are that because that is what we have been providing for members only for the past 5 years.
So a band would come to you hoping to leverage your prominence in that market, maybe your SEO abilities, whatever marketing you've done as an agency, they're hoping to piggyback on,
right?
And become a product you can sell into your market.
Right.
And so essentially that's the value prop for the band to join you, is to be, hired first of all, but then to have sort of the prominence and the marketing machine that the agency is drive their own prominence. Is that the idea?
Right. Yeah. So, another way of looking at it is like if you are a band that wants to get more, private events.
Yep.
You would align yourself with an agency that specializes in that kind of work.
Great.
And we would then, if we could come to some sort of agreement, you would be a person, a group that we would potentially pitch to a client.
Yep.
So it could be like, I would like a 4-piece band to play this event on this date. And then we would go, okay, well, here are the groups that we have available. Check these out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. And how formal are those relationships with your bands? Are they exclusives?
No.
Okay.
No. One thing that we realized when we started with an agency ourselves was that non-exclusive is the way to go. And to be perfectly honest, most agencies prefer that because depending on the, these are all, most of them are niche agencies. So they may not be able to provide enough work to, sign an exclusivity.
Gotcha.
If you're on East Coast Entertainment, maybe that's not the case because they've got enough work where they feel comfortable, putting you in an exclusive deal and, putting you to work.
They trust they can feed you. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So, for us, we don't do that. And none of the agencies that we have been affiliated with do that either. It's just a way for them to have options, when they pitch somebody. And so, yeah, that is the intent. I think the thing that people don't necessarily understand so back up.
Yeah.
The whole point of this conversation is how do you shoot your shot
Right.
with an agency?
Right.
And the conversation starts, this whole topic came up because I had somebody approach us this week and they didn't do a good job.
Bummer.
And yeah, and it is a bummer. It's a bummer for them because I know who they are, and I know some of their past members, and I know that they've been around a long time, and they didn't come prepared.
Yeah.
So I think, what we wanted to talk about is what do you need? First of all, is this something that you should consider?
Yep.
And if it is something that you should consider, what do you need to have in order to make your impression felt?
What does prepared look like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, in their case, I got a message on Facebook that said, "Hey, we'd like to be considered for your roster. Here's our website." And then they were like, "We charge this much, and that includes sound and lights." And it was a really low number.
Like bar band numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was they said that they would do it's like a 4-piece band or a 5-piece band including sound and lights, and like we only charge $500, and I was like red flag number 1.
Right.
So
let's just to unpack that worth 2 or 3 sentences worth. What you're communicating there in the privates market is that you're not really in the privates market.
exactly.
Right. Because it just goes for more than that. That's the first thing, is that you're not experienced in that market enough to know what you're worth. And so there's no promise of quality, in the pricing that you're setting. There's actually a promise of a lack of quality.
Right.
Yeah.
So the price alone was actually kind of the first concern that I had. The second concern is I went to their website, which was like a Bandzoogle or one of those kind of just like generic band things, which is not a problem.
Yep.
They do serve a purpose, and I've seen people leverage them well.
Sure.
But they had it obviously had not been updated recently.
Mm-hmm.
They had some pictures. They had no testimonials. They had no video. They had no audio.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just pictures of them playing bars, more or less, and a song list, and I think like a dates list.
That surely all of them were canceled now, and
right, or they were like from 4 years ago or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I wrote back, objectively, I was like, "Hey, thank you for your interest. I didn't see any video or audio on your website. Do you have any?" And he goes, the response was, "Well, we have some, but it's kind of old, and we typically don't need it." And I was,
don't you?
That was red flag number 2, because any place or any person that would book a band without wanting to see them first, I don't know how that would work. So I did look at their list, and I did look at their YouTube channel, and they had one full recording from 5 years ago. And it wasn't up to snuff, in my opinion.
The performance wasn't?
No. I just, it wasn't something, because now they've put me in a tough position, because I know what my bands offer to our clients. There's a standard of professionalism. There's a standard of musicianship. There's a standard of appearance. Like it's an entire package, and they didn't meet those criteria, and they didn't seem terribly interested in finding out what the criteria was.
Yeah.
They were basically like, you should consider us because we've heard good things about ourselves.
Well, and you said in text they said things about themselves, and they say they're the best known.
It was Atlanta's favorite cover band.
Yeah.
Which is news to me.
Like, who says?
Right.
It's meaningless.
It's
meaningless.
I'm in Atlanta.
It's meaningless.
And I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
I know of people who've played for them, but I've never heard the band before.
Right.
I've never seen them play. So
news to you that they're your favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my response then was, in order for us to pitch potential clients, we need media to show them. And I think my kind of political response was, when you have a professional media package together, we'd love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that's maybe the place to pivot this conversation into, it's so far it's been kind of tough love. Love, right? Because there are people and they're out there trying, and surely there are people listening who are kind of in the same boat. So it's not like hacking on these jerks who don't know what they're doing. If they came to you and said, all right, well, let me buy an hour or two of consulting.
Right. And that's, what I went back and forth with Dan about. I was like, part of me wants to do is go, you realize how much you just messed up. And the other part of me was like, hey, do you like podcasts?
Yeah. Start at episode 1.
It's just kind of it's a tough spot to be in because, when we're talking about, you don't know how much you messed up, do they know that I have a podcast where I talk about musicians and bands and how to run them like businesses? Did they know that they were inevitably going to be content?
Right. Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Right. 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 Well, and to take it out of rhetorical question, they clearly didn't know what the expectations were or what they were up against or what message they needed to land with you. They had no idea. Right. So they just kind of took a flyer on, hey, we're pretty good. Let me and by the way, I bet you're not the only person they reached out to. Probably
not.
So
no, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Yeah.
So let's talk nuts and bolts.
Yep.
What do you need to shoot your shot with an agency?
Yep.
I think it goes without saying there's some general things you need to have. My personal opinion is you need a website.
Yes.
And not just a Facebook page.
Right.
It shows that you have put enough time, effort, and, let's be honest, some money into establishing a presence online.
Yep.
So,
because look, you're a business. You're a business. A business needs a website. Bottom line.
Period. So it doesn't have to be some crazy fancy site. If you can tell your story on a Bandzoogle page, then that's all you need.
Look, danray.net's a Bandzoogle page.
Yeah. And
it's not fancy, but it pretty much has what I want to say on it. And it was easy to build. So,
And there's tons of options. Squarespace. I've got a WordPress site and I've got 2 Squarespace sites. Squarespace to me looks great. It's easy to build. It's relatively affordable.
Yeah.
The WordPress is a whole ball of wax, but you can do whatever you want to with it if you are willing to take the time.
Right.
So band website numero uno.
Yep.
Number 2 is you need media.
And that website needs to be current, maintained. It can't look like, it's covered in cobwebs. If you got dates on them, they got to be current.
Except for right now. If you don't need dates.
No, sure. Yeah. No, all bets are off right now. But generally, that is your presence on the internet. So have your presence be decent.
Yep.
Yeah.
As far as content on that site, you need media. You need good looking photos.
Yep.
You need good video. Period. And that can be a number of different things. It can be a super slick studio recorded demo where you are lip syncing to it with a professional video crew.
Yep.
It can be dolled up live footage, single cam, multicam. It can be a static camera in the back room. And if I'm being perfectly honest, you should probably have all of those things because it shows different audiences what you offer.
Right.
So when I see a corporate band, and I see their video, I know for a fact that it's already been it's studio recorded, and they're going to cool places and recording it. I'm listening for karaoke tracks, and I hear them a lot. So if you're going to use backing tracks, make sure you do something with them. Don't make them. I have seen promo video where it's literally the karaoke track,
wow.
The drums, the guitar, everything.
Wow.
It's just not a good look. No, but the problem is, it's not a problem. If you're a bride, it's not a problem.
I bet.
But
the people who catch that are very, very, very few.
But like in my case, if I was somebody wanted us to pitch them as a potential
you can't do it.
Our roster.
You haven't heard their performance. You can't do it.
Right. That would be suspect to me.
Yeah.
I would check. That would be a red flag. Lots of red flags so far. Video is really important, and you need to show competency. You need to, you've just got to come correct. It's got to look good.
And and let me just say something about the professional or not aspect. And I'm interested in your thoughts about this. For me, it seems to me like the value of professional video is that it eliminates the amateurishness that is going to be inherent in anything but professional video. That'll get in the way of really expressing who you really are and what your performance really is. It's going to maximize the you-ness that gets across and have that you-ness be clean and look great, and it just takes out my mom's hand wobbled as she shot this across the auditorium factor to the amateur video. It's just it just cleans up the whole presentation and takes out distractions. Right.
And it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. There are, in most markets, there are affordable videographers. You may be able to catch like a wedding videographer in the off season, who might be able to help you out for a good price. You could work on doing some editing yourself and pay somebody just to shoot the footage and kind of piece it together. I typically do that because I'm super picky. And I wish I wasn't. It would be so much easier to just hand it to somebody. But if you're in the Atlanta area, I'll go ahead and shout out some friends of ours, Pinnacle Media Group, who they are musicians who also own. Now they actually just bought a production space, and they do great work, and they are super affordable. Right now, if you wanted to do your like solo acoustic demo, they've got a space set up where they can put your name on in one of a gobo behind you on like a brick wall.
Cool.
And you can do a 5-minute demo for like $250.
Sweet.
They do all the editing, all the sound and stuff. It's perfect.
That's awesome.
So hit up Pinnacle Media Group if you're in the Atlanta area. And then with band stuff, it can get pricey, but there are ways of being creative.
I have seen pretty darn good videos made clearly by the band with 3 maybe static cameras standing in places or phones. Yeah. And it's fine. It's fine. That's right on the edge of professional for me. As long as it's well thought out and well done, that's fine.
Yeah. So good sounding audio, good looking video, pictures. Because the thing you need to understand is that if you're trying to sell yourself to an agent, that agent then has to sell you to a client.
Right.
And so, what kind of work do you want to get into? Okay, what kind of bands are already doing the work that you want to do? All right, let's take that another step further. What does their media look like?
Yeah.
How much money did they spend?
Yeah.
On their video?
Yeah.
How much time did they spend on their tracks?
Yep. Yeah, and I would be willing to bet that there are bands that would love to break into this, but they're too attached to who they are. They have not done the thinking about what the market wants.
Yep.
And, so we're really great. You should book us. Well, you guys aren't a fit for what the market wants. Well, but we're really great, and we're unwilling to find out what the market wants and become that.
Right.
We see that. We see that a lot with bands in general, and I'm sure that is an impediment to agencies being able to pick people up.
Yeah. It's the running joke about Mustang Sally and all that stuff.
Yep.
I actually played Mustang Sally for the first time at a wedding 2 weeks ago.
I like Mustang Sally a lot. It's a fun song.
It's a fun song.
Everybody loves it.
And people really like
Everybody
it.
loves it.
So if you don't want to play Mustang Sally, like there are dozens of bands who will.
Absolutely.
And the crowds like it.
I
liked the feeling of a room listening to me sing Mustang Sally.
And singing along and dancing. Yeah. And they all sing that Ride, Sally, Ride. They all sing it. So
it's the same with Brick House.
Totally.
Just play it.
Just play it.
You're never going to regret playing Brick House.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So you got a website, you got good looking media, you've got a song list. You need to have a comprehensive song list, and don't pad it with a bunch of stuff that you're never going to play, because you may end up, shooting yourself in the foot where like you are forced to play a song that you have no intent of ever playing. So there's that. I think testimonials are super valuable. So if you are playing a private event, and you can get some sort of feedback from the client, either from an email or a video testimonial, that stuff is super valuable. And again, that's not expensive. That doesn't cost anything necessarily. If after you play a gig, just on the Monday after, send an email to the client. Thank you so much for the opportunity to play your event. We had a blast. I hope you did too. Please, make sure that you think of us for any future whatever.
I know somebody who after the show, before they start packing up, while people are still milling around, but the show's done, they go around the room and ask people if they can take video of them giving feedback. And people at that night are at the point of the night, they're happy, they're probably drunk, and they've seen a lot of videos of people like, oh my God, this band was so great. It's like exactly what you want to have clips of.
Exactly what you want.
And people are happy to do it. It's a really great idea.
Yep. You should definitely do that if you don't have those. Talking about the Atlanta's favorite band or the premier, the hottest, whatever.
Yeah. Just don't.
You can be creative about those things.
Yeah.
In our case, we have one of our taglines is the best 80s party in Atlanta. And that has credence because it was said by original MTV VJ Mark Goodman.
That's right.
I have a video of it. It says members only, throwing the best 80s party in Atlanta. Do you know why he said that? Because I paid him on Cameo to say those exact words.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's there.
It plays.
That's totally fair game.
Yep. You can also play with that whole thing. People know, the area's premiere. They know that's nonsense. I have for some time billed myself in the Clinking Lincolns as the world's okayest guitar player.
Grittest.
Well, that's a word we made up last week, and now Mike Schulte is it, the grittest drummer. But all of those things are useless marketingese that people know is nonsense, and I invite all of us to be just way smarter and more creative than that, because it's just super dumb.
Yep. Another thing you may want to do. So let's say that we've done all the legwork. We've got the website. We've got the
video,
media. We've got a lot of those things. Let's go ahead and let's get ready to prep to submit to an agency. So another piece of media that I think is super important is a one sheet, which is definitely something that you would want to attach to a prospective email that you're sending to an agent. Do you want to cover what a one sheet is supposed to do? I mean, so it's one sheet and it's front and back. So when you send it as a PDF, it's two sheets, but it's or a real long
real long sheet. Sure.
Yeah.
And it's everything you'd want to say in the most concise way you can do it, hopefully designed in some way that's eye-catching and interesting and fun to engage with as a reader. I the first one I made for the Clanky Lincolns it was on one side it was how much fun we are for people in your bar to come to and hear the songs we play, and the other side, the back of it, I don't know if it was the back, the other side might have been the front, depending on how I hand it to you, I guess, was about what it's like to book us and work with us and how professional we are and how clean it is to do business with us, and our pricing and how to reach us and all that kind of stuff. So it tells the two stories about a band really has two target markets. Yep. And so you want to do that. A recent iteration I made of it was to replace. I didn't fully replace the how to work with us stuff, but I updated that side with a ton of quotes from people who enjoyed working with us and had good things to say. So it's full of testimonials. And I was careful to have them be testimonials. That was the word that had fallen out of my brain. I covered all the bases. So it was like a bar booker and a private event booker and a bride and like kind of dealt with all the markets we're after on this one sheet. And then I was getting them printed at Kinko's, which is okay, but it's like 75 cents per. And so instead I did the math and I bought myself a laser printer, which over not very many sheets comes out much cheaper. But then you also email it for sure. It's up on my website to be looked at. And I don't email the file. I send a link to it so they can come to it and also see that we have a website. But it should tell your whole story while you're not there. That's the point. I want to hand it to the bartender who's not the booker, who can then hand it to the manager who books, and they see the whole thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in summation, the one sheet is an elevator pitch in a PDF.
Yeah.
It's the most amount of information you can provide for somebody in the shortest amount of time possible.
Right.
Some good examples of things that you would put on that are a recent promo shot, your logo, testimonials, some snippets like tent pole songs that you cover.
Yep.
Past clients is always a good one. If you do corporate work, that kind of establishes a certain level of credibility.
Yes.
So if you do municipal events, you can either use the production company that books those, or the city of, or all that stuff looks really good on a one sheet. Trying to think of what other things. Quick bio, like the quickest of bios.
Yeah.
Another thing, don't
grieve over your bio.
Don't. No one
not worth
cares.
It. Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. We all started playing music when we were young. That's not an interesting story.
Don't do individual bios.
No.
I mean, if you're established and like you've got some kind of like following, maybe pursue that. But like if you're just trying to like get your foot in the door, no one's going to read it.
I did try one time writing a bio for my little character, my little mascot, Abe, and giving him like a backstory in a fun little 2-paragraph bio. I never used it anywhere, but it was fun to write. I will say, though, the one sheet is a branding opportunity. It should sound like your voice. So the Clanky Lincolns were like fun and zany and crazy and fun on the fun side, on the party side. The other side is business and professional, but on the party side. So I listed 8 or 10 of our tentpole songs, and then at the bottom of that said, and 247 more. Right? And like everyone I handed it to read that and was like, oh, well, that's very specific. I was like, yeah, well, that's how many it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, Members Only is very professional. It's got lots of, it's written very cleanly.
Yeah.
But it is visually one of the most obnoxious things you can.
Well, it's the 80s.
Exactly. So that's always kind of been our point, is that, yes, this is an 80s thing. It's a nostalgia trip, but it's not cheesy, and it's not we take it seriously, but like not too seriously.
Yeah.
So you could copy and paste the text onto a blank sheet of paper. It would come across very professionally, but you look at it and you go, okay, I get this.
Yeah. So it's the content, it's the facts, it's the story, but it's also the voice and the brand and the ethos. That's what needs to be on one sheet.
Okay, so you got your one sheet, and you're sending this email. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to do some research. Don't cold call. Don't do a blind email. Go on their website. Look through. Look who you're going to be talking to. Most of them, again, are kind of like small houses. It may be like a handful of people. It could just be a lone guy or girl. Read his or her bio. Kind of take context clues from their experience. Try to see if you can find any sort of common ground. Like, oh, we've played this event, or we played at this venue, or we've done shows with one of your artists. Like, find some common ground to kind of establish some sort of credibility. Again, you want to do that very early on, where you say, hi, my name is so and so, I represent this group, we did this thing that aligns us with you.
Yep.
Another thing you want to do is you want to look through the roster and see if there are any holes in what they offer. You know, for us, the way that we have gotten into some of the agencies that we work with is the fact that I went on their website and I looked through. I was like, I don't see an 80s band. So I can be like, hi, my name is Adam. I'm the leader of this band. We've played at some venues kind of in your town that we really enjoy. I was looking through your website and I noticed that you didn't have an 80s band. I think that we may be a good fit. Here's some information. If you would like any more information, you can go to our website, or you can, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Now,
thank you very much.
One thing to just call out about that email you just recited off the top of your head.
Yep.
It's an important thing in sales, especially cold sales emails. And I recently got a real lesson in this at work. Each sentence needs to justify the next one.
Yep.
Right. Every single sentence needs to give the reader a reason to keep reading. And you did that. You know, here's me. Here's my background. You know, here's why I'm worth listening to. Here's what I noticed that is of value to you.
And I think that's the crux of the whole thing. You have to add some kind of value.
That's right.
The thing that bothers me as an agent is that people are just looking at you. What can you do for me?
Right.
I want something from you. You need to give that to me.
And I'll give you a percentage.
Right.
And that's our deal.
Yeah.
That's not our deal.
It just
That's
drives
not
me
it.
up the wall.
Yeah.
And it's something I don't think people consider.
Sure. No, of course not.
And so yeah, I think you need to understand the value that you provide. And if you don't provide value, it's going to be a hard sell.
Yep.
To whoever's on the other line.
Yep. Yeah, and it could be that value as you fill a hole in their lineup. It could be that value as you are like an even trade, a backup for one of their acts that is booked a lot, and you're a second instance of that.
That's another great angle. Like, I noticed that you do have an 80s band. In the event that you ever run into a situation where they're already booked and you need somebody else, we'd love the opportunity to win your business.
Yeah. Or, hey, I really love this band. We're a lot like them. In fact, I'm good buddies with them, and we compare notes a lot. And I think we'd fit right in with what you're up to here. You know, they know those guys are booked, and I mean, if they're a place you want to be working with, they're keeping their people busy. So if that group is a winner for them, something they can slot into a lot of events, another like a clone of that is
one of those,
good news for them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are both good angles to work with. And again, like this whole thing needs to be a single paragraph.
Yep.
10 sentences tops.
One of these days we need to do like general sales for bands.
I think that should go in the book that we're never going to finish.
I know. Sales for bands. Well, we'll do an episode on it one of these days.
Yeah.
But we're touching on it here. I mean, but there's like a lot of sales techniques that go into, even when you walk into a bar to talk to a manager, that band folks are not usually hip to. So we're touching on a lot of those things here, and there's a lot more we could be saying. So
yeah,
we should.
So yeah, those are the big things. The things that I think that are really important is just make sure you've got your act together before you start trying to go out to other people. And here's the other thing that you need to understand is that you could do all of this right. You can have all of the great, you can have great media, you can have a good looking website, you can have a perfect one sheet, you can shoot your shot, and you may just not get a response.
Totally. No, it's still a numbers game, even if you do everything right.
Yep.
But that's sales.
So Yeah. I mean, members only, I think, is working their way up a credibility platform. I feel like we've established ourselves and we've got a bit of a track record. Every single year, I fill out the form on East Coast Entertainment's website. I haven't gotten a call back yet,
Right.
but once a year, right after we refresh our media, I'll fill it out again.
Because you do.
Yeah, it's just a part of the process.
Yep.
And a part of me would love to be an ECE band, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I want. But it's definitely a goal to attain to work towards.
Sure.
So I do it.
Sure.
Without any expectation that I'm going to get a call back or anything.
And it doesn't hurt your feelings when you don't, does it?
Not really.
No.
It did at first. It's kind of, but you just kind of get used to it. But a lot of times, I can go in with the media that we've got and hit somebody up and say, I noticed you don't have an 80s band. We're an 80s band. And I've gotten a handful of people who emailed me back within the hour and said, yeah, we'd love to. Can you give us a bit more stuff so we can put it on your website?
Yeah.
And then that's it.
It's great.
That the work we get from them is not super, steady. We typically still are pulling in gigs from our own steam, but it's good for SEO. It's good for market establishment. It's good for name recognition. And
it doesn't cost you marginal on income, right? So
yeah, time.
Yeah, so you may as well have
What's
it out there.
time? What is my time worth? I mean,
That's right.
Hundreds of hours just poured out onto this thing.
That's right. That's right.
For pennies. But it's worth it.
It literally made dozens of dollars.
We are all learning things. I may end up, being a freelance podcast consultant.
Yeah.
Because I've done enough of these suckers to, know a thing or two.
Why not?
So yeah, I think that covers it.
I think so too.
And so if it's something that you are considering, if you're looking to break into private work whenever private work opens back up,
right,
those are the things you need to kind of take into consideration and prep. Like Dan mentioned earlier in the conversation, we do offer consultation and coaching for bands who are interested in doing this kind of thing. If that is something that you are interested in doing, you can hit us up at coverbandconfidential@gmail.com or DM us on Facebook or one of the other social media channels that we frequent. And, we can help you if you want us to.
Yeah.
And if now's not a good time, that's okay. We don't really need anything. The only thing that we really need from you is for you to leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice, primarily Apple Podcasts, because most of them don't have the review option. Here's the deal. I've posted about it on our Facebook page. I posted about it on the Facebook group. I posted about it on Instagram. Every little review helps. Do you know how many reviews that we've gotten this week, Dan?
The answer to that question is either going to be 0 or lots.
Well, it's not lots.
Okay. There you go.
So, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts and you have not left a review, please do so. It helps with discovery. It's a jungle out there, and they're not doing a whole lot of assistance with promoting podcasts. But I know that there are a lot of people like us out in the world, and we've got a really great audience. And I think that there's plenty more people that we could bring into the fold who could benefit from the conversations that we just had.
For sure.
So, if you could do that, that would be super.
He'd be your favorite.
Oh my gosh. So favorite, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Super faves. Well, I think that'll do it. I think we went all over the place. Big thanks to Timothy and Ernie and Matt and Nicole for tuning into the live stream and for chiming in. We really appreciate everybody and their support. You guys are the literal best. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and call it for this week. From Atlanta, Georgia, I am Adam Johnson.
From Greensboro, North Carolina, I am Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, episode 123. 1, 2, 3. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. If you want to help us, be sure to share us with your friends, follow us on social media, and if you haven't already, please leave a review for us on the podcast platform of your choice. Facebook.com/CoverbandConfidential, Instagram @CoverbandConfidential, and Twitter @CoverbandConfid. If you have any questions, please email us at coverbandconfidential@gmail.com and consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/CoverbandConfidential. And for more info, check out www.coverbandconfidential.com.